Alright, Shalom. I want to start off by giving all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shai, by Hashem, Achakwadash. Double honors to the apostles, elders, and bishops at Great Millstone. I'm your brother, Rabbi Knapp, coming out with a lesson, Lord's will. This is edifying to the Lord's elect. If you ain't heard, supposedly, allegedly, ICE went and shot another Edomite. And I'm about to read an article. This is from NPR.org. Man shot dead by federal immigration officers in Minneapolis on January 24, 2026, 6:48 p.m. Eastern Time. That was today. In this picture, it says ICE and federal agents face off with Minneapolis residents and protesters following the fatal shooting of a local resident earlier in the day near Nicollet Avenue in 26th Street in South Minneapolis, Minnesota, January 24th, 2026. Look at this fool right here. Let me see if I can zoom in on this nigga here. Big dummy. That's your KKK. That's the Proud Boys. Gas mask. This reminds me of the game. I used to play this video game called The Division. And there was parts they used to have this zone where you had to really step your game up because you fight bosses like this and they were hard to defeat, but you go out throughout the city. They used to wear shit like this, man. It's funny as shit, man. You have to shoot it out with them. You upgrade your guns and shit. Whoever thought that game is like, I forgot that game was about, but that shit was like a fallen society and you were part of this small group of people that was trying to rebuild the towns and shit. It was an alright game, man. But now you can see that it's all, everything, it was just to bring you to the reality of it all. This shit's going on in real life. It says a man shot Saturday morning by federal immigration officers in Minneapolis has died, federal and local officials said. The man was identified by state officials as Alex Jeffrey Pretty, a 37-year-old ICU nurse in Minneapolis resident. Let's see what Esau kind of witchcraft he trying to do with this. The incident marks the third shooting involving federal immigration agents in Minneapolis this month. Today, federal agents beat and then shot multiple times and killed 37-year-old Alex Jeffrey Pretty, a U.S. citizen, a Minneapolis resident, and a VA nurse, U.S. Senator Tina Smith said in a news conference this afternoon. Eyewitnesses video shows, once again, reckless, violent, and dangerous federal agents taking the life of a Minnesotan. From what I heard, I forgot the dude's name. He kind of looked like a transformer. He'd be walking around with, he's like the head of Border Patrol, I believe. Bovine or some shit like that. He was saying that he was justifying the acts of his ICE agents, saying that they were, they came at them with guns. So he was armed when he did it. You know, I'm not gonna, I don't have no political view, but it seems that all of these deaths have the reasonable doubt. First, the Renee, looking on it without evidence, without all of that, because in Esau's court system, all you need is the reasonable doubt. It's not that the evidence. All you need is a reasonable doubt. If you can prove a reasonable doubt, you should let this man go. That's how his law works. Did I prove it beyond a reasonable doubt that given the evidence that our perspective is correct compared, because he'll give you a bunch of different perspectives other than the truth. That's where Esau lives at, in that gray area. That's why he got all these different types of religions, so he can create that gray area, so you can give him the benefit of the doubt of not being the devil. Yeah, you say I'm the devil because you listen. That's your interpretation of the scriptures. You know, he'll like to say something like that, but because he put a little truth in all these different denominations, so he could live in that gray area. Is what I'm trying to say. Just like he does with his court system. Okay, his laws don't really. There's bend to it. You know, you can kind of wrestle with it a little bit, but the laws of the Most High, it's not like that. As a judge, you're supposed to look at the law and say, hold on, because you're going to get to the root of the problem. You're going to say, okay, hold on, why were you even in this neighborhood in the first place? Oh, well, then that opens up the door to something else. Well, I was in that neighborhood because someone told me I had to come here. Well, who told you had to come here? Okay, because according to your own basic law, you shouldn't even be over here. You violated this man's constitutional right. He has the right to carry an arm just as well as you have a right to carry an arm. What makes you more dangerous than him? There's 7 of you and there's 1 of him. Maybe he felt that he was in the wrong, and maybe you're the aggressor. You know, so when you keep going back and back and back, you see how corrupt this shit is. None of this, it's all fake. It's false. Okay, his law is sand. He got amendments. He's breaking the same shit his forefathers supposedly created for him to live his life. He breaks even those laws, and now he can't even uphold his own law because he's a fool. In this picture, it says ICE and federal agents face off with Minneapolis residents and protesters following the fatal shooting of a local resident earlier in the day near Nicollet Avenue in West 26th Street in South Minneapolis, January 24th, 2026. Now, you would think he would have pity upon his neighbor. This is like you don't know who's under that mask, you know, but he don't care. That could be something. I don't know if that's a boy, girl, old woman, old man. You don't know who's under there. He got no pity. So that's where's the you know, how can I put it? You know, because what I'm trying to say is, if he's willing to do this to his own people, what the hell you think he about to do to you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans? If he's doing this to his own people. And this nigga's going around taking kids, 5-year-olds one day, and the day after that, it's a 2-year-old. You know this nigga like kids, man. So if that don't put the fear of God into you, if it's not, if that don't put the fear in you, I don't think anything will. So, you know, at this point, if you can't repent, you don't want to keep the laws, then you're subject to all of it. It says ICE and federal agents face off with Minneapolis residents and protesters following the fatal shooting of a local resident earlier in the day in South Minneapolis, January 24, 2026. So you killed him, and you know, he's the victim. You know, person who died attacked the 7 officers with guns. They had to put him to death. Not saying it's right or wrong, right? But then the smoke. Oh, we gotta increase the you know, the violence in order to calm things down. You know, we gotta, you know, create order. All right. But these are the same people that the Duck hired. Same people, because you don't see the Proud Boys anymore. You know, you don't see the right wing extremists anymore, because now they're working. And this is what they want. This is how they want their country. They think they're saving Babylon. But the crazy part is, it's Revelation 13. Everyone is going to have to take this chip, man. Amalek don't give a same way he don't give a fuck about the people he's attacking is the same way the Duck and Amalek, Pinky in the Brain, they don't give a fuck about you people. And you're gonna get a grievous sore, man. Go look up boils when you get a chance. There's some nasty fucking shit that this shit about to give you motherfuckers, man. But you too dumb to know it until you get it. You think you're trying to save something. This place can't be saved, and guess what? you ain't gonna be able to save yourself from the chip. So it's better for you so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans. It's just bow down to the Lord, man. It's time to bow down. Let him do his work. He's doing a marvelous work, by the way. He's doing a great work. Okay. Everything is beautiful. And if you watch it, you get to see the beauty in it, and you can enjoy it. But a lot of y'all don't have wisdom. And if you do gotta go to jail or whatever, then take it cheerfully. Stop screaming and oh my God! Stop. Nobody wants to hear that shit. Okay? Die with honor. Die like a damn man. Okay? Stop screaming like a goat. That's how goats sound when they go to the slaughter. Screaming and yelling. Take your death cheerfully. Nobody wants to hear you cry and scream. Your forefathers died without mercy. These niggas done put mad people to death. They back in their lots. Howard Shah wasn't like that. Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey said he intends to seek a temporary restraining order from a judge on Monday. Against who? ICE? That would immediately stop the Duck administration immigration crackdown. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I must go get him. You don't hear these persecutors? They don't even want to testify against Renee Good. And you want to put yourself in a position to get killed? The people who persecute you don't even want to persecute the persecutor. Okay? They don't want to even take you to court. There ain't no court system, man. That shit's all fake. That shit's done with. Okay, it tells you in second Esdras the 15th chapter. Let's grab it. That it's I forgot how to paraphrase it. I just know where it's at. Second Esdras 15 in verse 14. It says, woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up to fight against another, and swords in their hands. So the swords that are in their hands are these weapons. That's a sword. That's that's a least lethal sword, but it's a sword nonetheless. He got a sword right here on this side. It's the modern day gun. Okay, and they didn't bring out the robot dogs and the drones, and there's a lot of shit that's not even being implemented into the battlefield, but all of that's going to be implemented. Okay. For the sword in their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up to fight against another, and we're starting to see remnants of that. This is one people fighting up against another. Right now it's ICE versus Minnesota residents. They're there for immigrants, but the protest is prohibiting them, so they got to get through you in order to get to us, the Israelites. Okay, but eventually they're going to get through that little shield of theirs, but then it's going to kick off. That sword is drawing nigh, man. That the destruction draweth nigh. And swords in their hands, for there shall be sedition among men. Sedition is when you say something against your government that is like, let's see what it says. Sedition is the act of inciting insurrection, rebellion, or resistance against lawful authority. In this case, it's a little unlawful. I don't know what the hell's going on. Typically involving speech, writing, or organization intended to disrupt or overthrow the government. And that's what he considers these protests to be. Especially when you're having people trying to supposedly hit people with cars, supposedly bring guns to go. If the nigga wanted, if I could see if he shot, he didn't shoot. Supposedly, I don't know all the details, so I don't want to speak on something I don't know. I'm actually reading now as we go, but I want to grab this. So the sedition is like the rebellion. It could be speech. It could be the organization, like these protests. That can be a form of sedition among men and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes. In the course of their actions shall stand in their power. So this is the point. In the course of their actions shall stand in their power. Okay, so the course of their actions, let's look this up. As a matter of fact, second Esdras 15, 16. Let's look this up. Let's see what the chat says about this. For there shall be sedition among men, sedition, uprising, civil disorder, internal strife. That's what we see with these protests and these ICE agents. This points to domestic chaos, which is here in America, not just wars between nations. Society fractures from within and invading one another. Neighbor against neighbor, cities, factions, and groups turning on each other. Echoes civil war conditions, riots, and lawlessness. And we're getting closer and closer to the point where something's going to kick off, to the point where people are not going to regard their kings or princes. They're going to have enough of, we need to act on our own. We need to be rogue, and we have to save our city, from these thugs, eventually, because the rhetoric that they're pushing, Esau follows whatever's on the news. He's just so dumb, man. He's just dumb people, man. Okay. I thought they're showing you they're not a righteous people. They're not listening to anything the Lord told them to do in the Bible. They're going off their own carnal mind. So Esau can manipulate you with all this shit. Just put it on the TV and see how they react. Okay. It says, they shall not regard their kings nor princes. Loss of respect for authority and leadership, as we can see. Governments lose legitimacy in the eyes of the people. And this is one of those governments or regimes that seem to be it's legitimate, but in the eyes of the people, they don't think it should exist. But some people do. Half the country agrees. He won the popular vote. This is what y'all wanted. You wanted him to drain the swamp, so he getting rid of all you damn white trash. He letting all y'all fight up against each other and destroy each other. So he's doing exactly what you wanted. In the course of their actions shall stand in their power. People act on impulse, not law or order. Everyone does what's right in their own eyes, no restraint, and that's what's going to cause the war right there. This verse describes the collapse of social order, no trust in leadership, no respect for law, no unity among the people. It's a picture of judgment through confusion, where the Most High removes stability and lets rebellion run its course. And that's exactly what's going on. And it's ultimately rebellion against the Lord, but it's exposing you as a people. You're being exposed for being the devil the Bible speaks of. Everything you do is contrary to what the Lord says. Everything. Your actions show you who you are. And that lines up with 2 Thessalonians, the 2nd chapter. And this time it's going to be revealed. Isaiah 19:2, I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians. Luke 21:9-10, nation shall rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom. Judges 21-25, every man did that which was right in his own eyes. Right. That was just what happened with, it's funny you use Judges 21-25 because within the nation of Israel, we had a civil war with Benjamin. Okay. Jeremiah 15:4, judgment causing turmoil among kingdoms. Let me see with Jeremiah 15:4. What's this other one? Matthew 24:12, because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. Gone. This chapter deals with end-time judgment, social unrest before major destruction, the sword, famine, and fear overtaking the world. And I love how, every now and again, famine just sleeps on you. You don't really hear about the famine. And this is probably the worst one that's happening right now, especially with these, who knows what the hell's going on in the Caribbean. And then what's going to go on in Greenland. He about to fuck up all types of trades. No one's going to want to trade with this place, man. Okay, so don't forget the Lord talked about famine, wars, civil unrest, just everything, man. That's the plagues of Egypt. Verse 16 zooms in on internal collapse. Bottom line, 2nd Edges 15:16 is warning that before the final judgments fully unfold, society will turn on itself, reject authority, operate without moral restraint. And that's funny it says that, because what did the duck say most recently about how, he's not following international law. He's going off of his own moral code, which is immoral. He don't have any morals. If you're not operating under the laws of the Heavenly Father, you don't have any morals. Okay, you're wicked. If you want, I can break down the... No, I'm good. That's all I want to see. Okay. So the course of their action is standing in their power. People are not persecuting these ICE agents. They're quitting their jobs. FBI agents quitting their jobs. Judges leaving. They're probably being threatened. Okay, they don't feel comfortable. They don't feel safe. They already have a good chunk of money. They're like, man, why even risk it at this point? I might as well just take my earnings. I got this $1 million crib. I can retire right now. Most people don't have this type. I'm sitting on $10 million, $20 million. I can retire. Or at least until the next administration comes in. I don't have to fucking deal with this shit. That's how some Edomites are taking it. I'll just go on for a long vacation, come back when this shit boils over. Hopefully, we can get G.Newsom 4 years from now. That's how a lot of these congressmen and shit are thinking about. He's talking about hanging some of them. Okay, so, man, this place is done. Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey said he intends to seek a temporary restraining order from a judge on Monday that would immediately stop on Monday. This place is done, man. That would immediately stop the Trump. Like, Trump's gonna listen to a restraining order. Administration's immigration crack. Dude's on the Epstein's list. I'm sure a lot of people want a restraining order on him, and he ain't being persecuted for that either. You don't think he's sending emails? He ain't putting the fear in the people? Come on, man. Earlier this month, an agent with Immigration and Customs Enforcement shot and killed Renee Macklin Good, another 37-year-old Minneapolis resident and mother of 3. So if you're 37 years old in Minneapolis, stay your ass in the house. He don't like people that are 30. He's after 37-year-olds. The shooting occurred shortly after 9 a.m. Damn, that's early in the morning. Hey, that's the Lord, man. I gotta grab it. That's the Lord. Zephaniah 3 and 5. 9 a.m. The just Lord, Zephaniah 3 verse 5, the just Lord is in the midst thereof. He will not do iniquity. Every morning doth he bring his judgment to light. He faileth not, but the unjust knoweth no shame. So the Lord wanted it to happen early in the morning. Okay. Let's look this up. It says, the just Lord is in the midst of the Most High is present, watching everything that's going on in Jerusalem/Israel. Even while the city is corrupt, the Lord remains righteous and unmoved. And now Jerusalem is a people before it's a place. So he's in the midst of Israel, ultimately his elect. He will not do iniquity. The Lord is incapable of wickedness. So even though he causes these things to happen, he does it in a way where it's pretty much you do it to yourself. The law is written. Everyone has a book. You know what there's an order that needs to be established down here, and you guys are way out of order. So it's not like he didn't tell you. We're doing videos, multiple videos a day. Brothers are going out all the time. The word is out. You just reject the word. So if I tell you don't go down that cliff, you're gonna die, and you go, whose fault is that? His judgments are never emotional, biased, or unjust. Iniquity is sin. Okay, so he's not transgressing any laws but putting you to death. He's the judge. All right. Every morning doth he bring his judgment to light. Judgment is consistent and continual, not random. Morning implies clarity. His correction is plain and visible. He faileth not. The Lord misses his appointed time. Prophecy and judgment always arrive exactly when decreed, but the unjust know no shame. Despite clear correction, the wicked refuse repentance. No embarrassment, no fear, no turning back. Total moral numbness. And that's where the people are at, and that's why they asses is getting judged. Okay. The shooting occurred shortly after 9 a.m. Central Time on the city's south side when federal law enforcement officers were conducting a targeted operation against a man the Department of Homeland Security said was undocumented and wanted for violent assault. Gregory Bovino, that's who I was talking about, head of the U.S. Border Patrol. Well, Minnesota is not a border. So you should be somewhere in Mexico, Canada. Okay, you in the heart of America, man. That's in the middle. You where the lettuce and tomatoes and the meat go in the sandwich. You supposed to be where the bread's at. Said a different man, the one who was fatally shot approached Border Patrol agents with a 9mm semi-automatic handgun. Bovina said agents attempted to disarm the man, but he violently resisted. The agent shot and killed the man in self-defense, according to Bovino. Listen, man, what are you supposed to do when somebody comes at you with a 9mm? Of course, I don't believe what they said. But do they have cameras? Like, what's going on? How do you know? You just taking their advice, Bovino? And who the hell are you? Isn't that a conflict of interest? You work. Of course you're going to speak on their behalf. Where's the evidence at? What about eyewitnesses? You weren't there. So who gives a fuck what you say? All right? That's like vanity. You ain't even saying nothing that you weren't even there. What are people there saying? This looks like a situation where an individual wanted to do maximum damage and massacre law enforcement, the Department of Homeland Security said in a social media post. So it looks like a case of a man who, under the Constitution, has the right to carry. Okay. Approach Border Patrol agents with the 9mm. You approach people with all type. You got a 9mm on you. So one guy with one gun approached you. 7 people with other guns. I don't know. That sounds fishy to me. This looks like a situation. I think y'all are just scary. I think y'all are scared of everything. That's why y'all carry swords and do that type of shit, because you're scared. These people got demons on them. They'll probably shoot you first, and then who knows, man? It's probably another psyop anyways. But you know, it could be true. This looks like a situation where an individual wanted to do maximum damage and massacre. I just read that. What's this? Nigga Jake got. Oh, they hit him in the face with the orange stuff. That's what your ass get. Niggas like him, that's what the hell you get. Then you want to yell and scream when you're on the ground. You Jakes don't learn, man. As big as your ass is, you won't even go to the gym, but you willing to go risk your life for Esau. Idiots. They're like, damn, I ain't even doing nothing to y'all. I'm attacking my own people, and you getting in the midst of it. Wasn't even thinking about kicking your ass today. We saving the best for last, but you wanna get your ass whooped now. We'll help you out. ICE and federal agents face off with Minneapolis residents and protesters following the fatal shooting of a local resident earlier in the day on January 24, 2026. Duck ain't even really messing with the Southern Kingdom like that. You know? I'm not saying he's not going to. Of course he is. you know. But that's what happens with Jake. He wants to put his fit. He want to meddle much. Let me grab that. Where is that? Ecclesiasticus. I think it's 14 and 10. Ecclesiasticus 14 and 10. No. No, that's not it. What the scriptures talk about, you don't want to meddle much in many matters. I can't remember what that precept is. Let's grab it though. Meddle not in many matters. Meddle not in many. Yeah. Ecclesiasticus 11 and 10. My son, meddle not with many matters, for if thou meddle much, thou shalt not be innocent. And if thou follow after, thou shalt not obtain, neither shalt thou escape by fleeing. Let's look this up. Mind your business. You're supposed to be doing what the Lord told you to do. Not be occupied with what the wicked are doing. Let the wicked destroy themselves. Say not thou, it is through the Lord that I fell away. That's not even the precept. So it doesn't know. It doesn't know. As a matter of fact, you gotta type in the whole thing now. Ecclesiasticus. Copy. It says, my son, meddle not with many matters. Meddle, involve yourself in things not appointed to you. So you putting yourself, this ice shit, this is Esau's kingdom falling, and it's because you don't know the scriptures. You know, he don't understand 2nd Ezra 6 and 9. Esau is the end of the world. Jacob is the beginning of it that follow it. That's why this word need to go out. So he's involving himself with something that don't pertain unto him. Let me grab this in the book of Ecclesiastes 12 verse 13. This is what you should be doing. Ecclesiastes 12 verse 13. Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. So you got to learn the commandments. You should be occupied in prophecy so you know what you're supposed to be doing. Getting sprayed with bear mace ain't what you're supposed to be doing. Especially disputes, politics, power struggles, and affairs outside your calling, right? That's what you're doing. You're putting yourself in position to be destroyed when the Lord told you to stay away from that. I'm doing all of these things so I can bring forth your salvation, but you're opposed to your own salvation. You're a reprobate. Wisdom teaches focus, not over involvement. Yeah, you were over involved. You overstepped the boundary. You outside of the hedge. You're profane. For if thou meddle much, thou shalt not be innocent. The more matters you involve yourself in, the more guilt and blame you accumulate. That's right. So it don't even start with just you being there. There's other actions that you're doing in your life that allow you to get there. You're a rebellious person. That's why, the sympathy is running out for Jake, man. At this point, you destroying yourself. A lot of y'all, it tells you in Hosea 4 and 6, why people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. But it also tells you in Hosea 13 and 9 that you do it to yourself. The Lord told you he don't do any iniquity. O Israel, thou hast destroyed thyself, but in me is thine help. So you got to find the Lord. You destroying yourself, man. Even if intentions start good, constant interference leads to transgression. And what is transgression? That's breaking the law. doing the opposite of what Ecclesiastes 12 and 13 tells you. Let me grab this in 1 John 5 and 3. 1 John 5, 3. For this is the love of God, that we keep his commandments, and his commandments are not grievous. So we're supposed to keep the commandments. Okay. First John 3 verse 4, whosoever committeth sin transgresseth also the law, for sin is the transgression of the law. So when you meddle in much, you end up transgressing the law. You don't want to be in transgression with the law. You want to understand the law so you can walk in the right path. You know what's pleasing to the Lord and what's not, so you can be found innocent in the eyes of the Lord. Maybe not in the eyes of men, but in the eyes of the Lord, you'll be found innocent. And if that's the case, he gonna plead your cause. But you got to be long suffering. In short, you can't touch everything and remain clean. That's right. That's right. Ecclesiasticus, the 14th chapter. Ecclesiasticus 14 and 1. Blessed is the man that have not slipped with his mouth and is not pricked with the multitude of sins. So you don't want to be pricked with the multitude of sins. Okay. Ecclesiasticus 13 and 1. He that touches pitch shall be defiled therewith, and he that have fellowship with the proud man shall be like unto him. So you got to watch who you're around. You got to watch what you're involved in. Okay. All right. Let me just finish this. And if thou follow after, thou shalt not obtain. Chasing every issue, rumor, or opportunity leads to frustration, not success. Scattered energy produces no reward. See, you got your energy all over the place. And if thou follow after, thou shalt not obtain. Right. Like a lot of people, Jake's involved in everybody's business like a busybody. Just, oh, you're over here, you're over there. You're just always in somebody else's shit. You're a meddler. Neither shall they escape by fleeing. Once entangled, you can't just walk away without consequences. Meddling creates obligations, enemies, and accountability, right? Mind your lane or stay in your lane. This verse teaches not every issue is your fight. Not every matter requires your opinion. Over involvement leads to guilt, stress, and judgment. Wisdom is knowing what not to touch. And pitch is one thing you don't want to touch. Okay. Anyways, that's something Jake wants to do. And that's why you got orange shit and you yelling and screaming in a cold front. Let these people fight unarmed with N95 masks without the damn cartridge in the damn face mask. Foolishness. These are fools. And you got another Jake holding the phone up. These people are gonna get killed, man. I love America. I hate ICE. What's wrong with ICE? What's wrong with ICE, man? People are out of your damn minds, man. This is not how this is why it's gonna escalate. Minneapolis residents and protesters gathered following the fatal shooting of a local resident earlier in the day in South Minneapolis, January 24, 2026. Yeah, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, you don't need to be getting in harm's way. You've been destroyed enough. Go sit your ass, do what I'm doing. Go in your crib. You can watch it all on TV. And I'm warm. As a matter of fact, I'm chilling. I don't got to go to Minneapolis and see it with my own eyes. That's stupid. Bystander video posted to social media and not independently confirmed by NPR appears to contradict DHS account of the shooting. The footage appears to show multiple federal agents surrounding a man on the ground, with several punching him and trying to restrain him before an agent shoots him. It's unclear whether the man brandished or tried to use the firearm that federal officials said he had in his possession. Of course, they know how to block the cameras, number one. Number two, they got a crooked system behind them, backing them up. They got absolute immunity, according to J.D. Vance, your next Republican candidate. So I'm curious what he's gonna say. He gonna love it. He gonna say whatever Bovino say. Minneapolis Police Chief Brian O'Hara said at a news conference Saturday afternoon that Pretty's only known interaction with police was for traffic tickets. So he was a law-abiding citizen, according to his record. He probably had a cleaner record than you ICE agents. You ICE agents got your record expunged. You people probably had all type of child pictures and shit like that. That's the type of people join that shit up. Bovino said he's very good with kids. That's not a statement you want to hear from an Edomite. That's the last thing I want to hear from somebody that looks like a transformer. We believe he is a lawful gun owner with a permit to carry, O'Hara said. Oh, look at that. Look at that. He don't care. So you violated this man. You took this man's life. You took this man's life, man. And it took 7 of y'all. You had enough restraint to punch him in the side. I don't know. That doesn't make any sense. Sound like a blood-thirsty demon to me. But I know when you read Ecclesiastes, the 39th chapter, hey, this appeased the Lord at the end of the day, because Esau don't really have the power to kill. So if you're going to be mad at anyone, all of it goes back to the Lord. You know, whether it's fake or real. Okay? The Lord is doing his work. Pretty was shot multiple times, possibly by more than one federal officer, O'Hara said. He was taken to Hennepin County Medical Center where he was pronounced dead. So he got shot by multiple different officers, man. That sounds like what Esau would do. So when it comes to forensics, when you catch a body like that and everyone shoots, sometimes they can't find out which bullet was fired first and who was more accountable, so they kind of it kind of evens out the blame on multiple different people. Okay, so the only way you could really get a conviction on that is if one of the 7 tells on the initial shooter, but only in a the feds would have to investigate and give everybody 100 years for one of them to be like, I ain't doing 100 years, and then they end up telling, and then they get the other guys to follow his lead because he's he'll be the only one talking. So that's how they end up persecuting. But these people work for the same government that don't want to persecute the people who killed Renee Good. We were not provided any public safety statement around the incident, he said. Oh, they didn't even want to speak about it. Bovino said the officer who fired the shots was highly trained and has worked as a Border Patrol agent for the last 8 years. I don't understand why Border Patrol is not at the border. Sounds like you shouldn't even be here in the first place. He said the shooting remains under investigation. And how long is that going to be? That means case closed. Macklin Good was fatally shot on January 7th in her SUV as she drove away after partially blocking a Minneapolis street. Conservation officer. Niggas glasses all fogged. He can't even see you. This is how dumb these people are, man. Just stupid. Dumbasses. Protesters respond at the site where a federal agent shot and killed a man in Minneapolis. What does this say? Protesters respond, same thing. On January 14, Julio Cesar Sosa Celia, a Venezuelan national, was shot in the leg by immigration officers during an altercation with those agents. You know, it said one of those Venezuelans went and grabbed a shovel. I don't know. Those motherfuckers, I guarantee they weren't from here. If they went and grabbed they ain't like y'all. You know, they went and grabbed a shovel. Some people don't care about their lives as much as you Americans, man. Y'all are the only ones that care about your life as much as, because you're proud. You wanna protest, but you don't want to fight too. So you're in this weird, because you want to be able to enjoy the fruit of your wickedness. But the Lord's taking that away from you. You're not gonna have the chance to go back home and be with your dog and everything's okay, while other people suffer. Now that you're suffering, you know, boo-hoo. I don't care. This is the same. These people have been in our communities forever, killing us, destroying us. Now it's ICE coming for your ass, and it's like, this is what police brutality looks like. Now the Lord's giving you a taste of your own medicine. I never thought I'd see the day, man. You know? Now Esau's getting brutalized by the police. 7 people and the dude had a gun on him too. I don't know what kind of Edomite that was, man. He even used his blessing. Minnesota has had it. Governor Tim Walz posted on social media this morning, "This is sickening." Oh, says Governor Tim Walz. That's sickening? I'm sure you've seen worse things, Tim Walz. We heard about you. Walz posts that he spoke with someone from the White House after the shooting and called on President Duck to end the immigration operation immediately. You should be calling him every day. He's been here a year. In a couple of days now, he's not going to stop that. Okay, let me grab this in the book of, you got to grab Isaiah 19:4. And the Egyptians will I give over into the hand of a cruel lord, and a fierce king shall rule over them, saith the Lord Yahweh of hosts. So he's giving you over to a cruel lord, and guess what? He don't give a crap about his citizens. All right? Clearly, your cries, he got absolute immunity. I see nothing wrong. He had a gun. She tried to hit me with a car. Well, there's no judge that'll persecute the case. We got to get law and order first before we get the judges. Foolishness, chaos. I found this too. It's India Today. Trump acting like international gangster. UK leader slams Greenland bullying. UK leader Ed Davey accused US President Donald Duck of acting like an international gangster and a bully, calling out his intimidation and coercion for seizing the territory while sharply criticizing Washington's push over Greenland. So he's calling him a gangster. I'm a gangster. I'm a thug. See, he's told you, man. And this is Esau. This is Esau. You thought the gangsters and the thugs were so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. Yeah, we gangster and thugs too, but not on an international level. The shit that you see so-called Negroes, Latinos, they kill one person. Yeah, that's hell. That sucks, right? That's just one person. This nigga kills thousands of people, man, and won't even blink an eye. He don't give a shit. He just killed 32 Venezuelans. He don't give a shit. That's past tense. They shouldn't. They should have knew. You know, they should have just. They should have just handed me the keys to the city. U.S. President Donald Duck is acting like an international gangster and a bully who believes he can seize territory through threats and coercion. UK leader Ed Davey said on Tuesday, launching a blistering attack on Washington's pressure campaign over acquiring Greenland. Addressing Foreign Secretary Yvette Cooper in UK Parliament, Davey, the leader of the Liberal Democrats, the third largest party in the country, accused Duck of threatening the sovereignty of NATO allies and pushing the transatlantic alliance to the brink. Yeah, he's pushing them to the brink, all right. And guess who's telling them to do that? The Lord. Okay? Lord said, get your ass up and push NATO and its allies to the brink. And he ain't got no choice but to do it. He is threatening to trample over the sovereignty of an ally, threatening the end of NATO altogether, and now threatening to hit our country and 7 European allies with outrageous, damaging tariffs unless he gets his hands on Greenland. So that's the Lord, man. The Lord's putting hell on you Edomites, even in other countries. And it's just gonna keep increasing. All this hell, man. It's gonna keep increasing. This is an incredibly grave moment for the United Kingdom, Europe, and our world, Davi said. So how long do you think they're gonna suffer under the president when they got prophecy backing them up? So the Lord's getting them ready too. They're getting prepared. The prophets, they getting prepared. We understand this is a spiritual battle. The Lord gonna fight for us, so ain't really nothing to do but glorify the Lord. Describing Duck as the most corrupt president the United States has ever seen. Is he the most corrupt? Who knows who the most corrupt president is? I don't know if he's the most corrupt. I don't know. Just, I don't know if I would give him that title. He's only doing what the Lord's telling him to do. He's just a tool. He's like a fork, a knife. You know, when you're cutting up meat, that's what the Lord's using him for. He ain't nothing. So, is he sharper than any other fork in your cabinet? I don't think he is. He's not the one who dropped Hiroshima and Nagasaki on Japan. Now that's the fucking most corrupt president you ever seen. As a matter of fact, what president was that? What president dropped Hiroshima and Nagasaki bombs? Harry S. Truman. Now this is a devil. Now he can hold the title. Authorized the use of atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki to hasten the end of World War II, believing it would avoid a costly land invasion of Japan. He defended his decision throughout his presidency. This dude's a devil, man. Look at him, man. Now that's a devil. Now he might be the most corrupt. He gotta be like top 3. I don't think the Duck got anything on him. I can name there's another president I'm thinking about, the one that was Hoover. But that's another story for another day. Davi said Duck's actions amounted to an unprovoked attack on Britain's economy, livelihoods, and national security. So look at that. Look at that. Britain's economy, and he was talking good shit today on the news. He was saying that y'all weren't even on the front lines in Afghanistan. You were hiding. You were hiding. You didn't even really want to fight. You weren't really about that. He was calling you out. You Europeans is not being really good fighters in war. This is British businesses and jobs have been put on the front line of Duck's aggression. He said, adding that the only global leaders cheering the U.S. president on were Russian President Vladimir Putin and Chinese President Xi Jinping. So your allies hate you, but your enemies are happy that you're doing this to the Europeans. Yeah, because it's going to push y'all further to go to the other side. And it gives Esau more reason to destroy you. The sharp criticism follows Duck's announcement of sweeping tariffs of between 10 and 25% on goods from 8 European countries. And I just read he was threatening Canada with 100% tariffs if he continues to make deals with China. So Canada, that might be another issue. He might have to take over Canada too, including the UK beginning February 1st. The move has been widely seen as retaliation against European nations that have backed Denmark's refusal to engage in talks over a U.S. takeover of Greenland. Duck has intensified pressure on European allies in recent weeks, warning that tariffs would rise to 25% by June if no deal is reached. I thought he already came up with a deal. How old is this? This was January 20th. Yeah, so this is 4 days old. Because he went to Davos. I was more concerned about him calling him an international gangster, because that's a beautiful title. So that's that shameful spewing. So that, when I call Esau the N-word, I'm not the only one calling him. Y'all calling us gangsters, right? Your local thug, your some low-level thug on the street. Well, he's calling him the same thing on an international level. Okay? So that's that shameful spewing on his glory. What's that? I think that's Habakkuk chapter 2 and 16. Thou art filled with shame for glory. Drink thou also, and let thy foreskin be uncovered. The cup of the Lord's right hand shall be turned unto thee, and shameful spewing shall be on thy glory. And that's what's going on. He's getting a shameful spewing on his glory. So the things he boasts about is it's shameful. Shameful, man. Be talking shit about other nations, calling them pirates. Niggas literally in the Caribbean being a damn pirate. And I think Melania's dropping a movie in 20 days or something like that. I just saw it. She dropping a movie, so she about to get paid. He doing his thing. He got movies coming out. He got cryptocurrency assets. He made $1.5 billion last year. He got prosecutors quitting their jobs and judges giving up on the case. Hey, it is what it is. If it quacks like a duck, it's a duck. The U.S. president has repeatedly claimed the United States needs the Arctic island for national security reasons to counter potential threats from China and Russia. Yeah, he gonna push that. Yeah, I need the whole Western Hemisphere. Greenland, an autonomous territory of Denmark, and the Danish government have repeatedly insisted that the island is not for sale. During his speech in UK Parliament, Davi turned his fire on Prime Minister Keir Starmer, accusing him of mishandling relations with Washington. For a year now, the Prime Minister has tried a policy of appeasing Duck, flattering him, fawning over him, refusing to stand up to him, Davi said. What the hell is he going to do? He don't got no resources. You know, his only option is to behave, and he thinks that's gonna get him far, but it's not. It's not, man. The Lord put a wrench in his plans too. He don't know that prophecy needs to be fulfilled, but he'll get on board. He's just a little late to the party. He's gonna get on board. Keir Starmer's gonna be on board. Okay. Harry S. Truman. Man, that's a devil, man. What's that precept? I know it's in Jeremiah. The mother that bare thee. I'm thinking about you know what? I think I might be saying that wrong. Let's have her Jeremiah. Grass. Jeremiah. Yeah, 50 and 11. Yeah, Jeremiah 50 and 11. Because ye were glad, because ye rejoice, O ye destroyers of my heritage, because ye are grown fat as the heifer at grass, and bellow as bulls, your mother shall be sore confounded. She that bare you shall be ashamed. Behold, the hindermost of the nations shall be a wilderness, and a dry land in a desert. Let's look this up. So, was who bared America? Britain did, and now she's getting ashamed. So he gonna get in line. Let's see. Mother Babylon, the founding power of the nation, confounded means utterly humiliated and thrown into confusion. The mother's Britain. Okay, that's what's confounded. This points to the collapse of Babylon's authority and pride. She that bare you shall be ashamed. The source of Babylon's power and culture becomes a disgrace. Her influence over the nations ends in public shame. Behold, the hindermost of the nations. Babylon, once the head, becomes the tail. No longer dominant, now insignificant and despised, just like it tells you in Obadiah. Shall be a wilderness, a dry land in the desert. Total desolation, economic, political, and military. No prosperity, no population, no stability. Symbolic of complete judgment, not just physical ruin. Just like a mother that's ashamed of her daughter, because she's a whore, brings disgrace to the nation. And you know, Britain's more of a noble type of people, man. They're not like the Edomite, the American Edomite, who's fat and proud. You know, they're more, you know, honorable. You know, they hold the reputation of being elegant. You know, Britain's known for a lot of not just stealing everything, but you know, they got the king and the queen, and it's just nobility. Esau don't come across like that. He come out like a wild, like a dog compared to Britain. He got all the tech, he got the gun, but Britain got the class. He ain't got that. He's not a classy type of person. It says he argued that Duck would still hit us with damaging tariffs. So like during his speech in UK Parliament, Davi turned his fire on Prime Minister. I read that. He argued that Duck would still hit us with damaging tariffs, and the Prime Minister has tested his approach to destruction. It has failed, he said. Only months ago, there's a little bit more, Duck had praised the special relationship with Britain during a visit to Windsor Castle, Davi noted. Now, thanks to his actions, the relationship is nearly in tatters, he said. What the hell is tatters? I gotta look this up. I don't even care. I gotta look it up. Irregularly torn pieces of cloth, paper, or other material. tatters. Tatters. That relationship is nearly in tatters, he said. He argued there were only two ways to make Duck back down, saying either by bribing him, perhaps with a new jet or a few billion in his crypto account, or standing up to him like we would with any other bully. Yeah. I'm curious to see if you stand up to the Duck what he's going to do, especially to a European ally. You should get Germany to do it. Since he's German, see how much he cares about his ancestry. You know, if I'm gonna turn this on this way. You know, see if he cares about his ancestry. Calling for a shift in UK policy, Davi urged Britain to abandon appeasement and instead stand shoulder to shoulder with European allies. And they're trying to create the United States of Europe. You know, so if they can band together, which they are, you know, they can fulfill prophecy and get the W. But then they're gonna lose too. They're gonna be destroyed. So it's a lose-lose for you Europeans too, according to prophecy. It is time for the government to change course. We have to be clear-eyed about the sort of man Duck is and treat him accordingly. He is a bully, and bullies only back down when you stand up to them, he further said. Yeah, he a bully with thermonuclear missiles. Okay. Earlier, Starmer lashed out at Duck in a phone call over threats to impose more tariffs on NATO allies as leverage over Greenland, warning that such moves are wrong and risk destabilizing transatlantic relations. You don't think he knew that before he did it? Maybe he didn't. It's the book of Job, chapter 33, in verse number 15. In a dream and a vision of the night, when deep sleep falleth upon men, and slumberings upon the bed, then he openeth the ears of men, and sealeth their instruction, that he may withdraw man from his purpose, and hide pride from man. He keepeth back his soul from the pit, and his life from perishing by the sword. So, when you sleeping in the bed, the Lord seals your instructions on what you're going to do the following day. So he knew that he was going to impose more tariffs on you, even though it was going to cause you to, get mad or whatever and destabilize your country. But it would make you get to the negotiation table where you get him what he wants. Because at the same time, you got to fulfill prophecy, he got to fulfill prophecy too. So the Lord's making it work simultaneously. So it's ultimately from both sides of the fence, it benefits Israel, which are you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, that they're having discussions on how they can destroy each other. So you might want to thank the Lord when you can. U.S. governor accuses Duck of trying to incite civil war. California Governor Gavin Newsom accused U.S. President Donald Duck on Friday of trying to stir up civil war as national protests continue after the fatal shooting of a federal immigration agent in the state of Minnesota, Anadolu reports. Duck is trying to stir up a civil war in this country. It's a shame what he's doing in Minneapolis, he said, referring to January 7th officer killing of Renee Good. Well, he don't even know about the person who died today, Petty, of Immigration and Customs Enforcement during a federal law enforcement operation. So, this is the 17th, so this is an 8-day-old paper. Protests have continued across the U.S. following the incident, while Newsom described the Duck administration as a destructive presidency, arguing that the country is now poorer and sicker, with jobs at their lowest level since 2003. So, and he be boasting about how the jobs are coming back. What jobs do you see people getting that's new? Like, those of you who are out there in the world, like, do you hearing anybody, oh yeah, I got this new job, this job just came from China, Ford building is being implemented, they're creating more Walmarts. Walmart's starting people off $40,000 $35 an hour. You know, and the incentives, you know, you're getting a sign-on bonus for $3,000 to come and work for Walmart or something, you know, an American-made company. That's not happening. But yet, he's on this world stage telling you it is happening. But the reality of the situation is he's lying. Okay, you gonna own nothing and be happy. You're not gonna have a damn thing. He just spent, first thing in office, $500 million for AI infrastructure. That's for you to take a chip in your forehead or in your right hand. That's all that's coming to you. All right? All the money that you do possess today, that's going to be irrelevant. Even if you got gold and silver, you have to, in order to, there ain't going to be no bartering system. Okay? If you don't, you ain't going to be nowhere to work. You either going to be in jail, or you going to have a chip, or you going to be doing something miraculous that the Lord got you doing on your way to Southern America. All right. So, or who knows? Because he gonna have it where there ain't gonna be nowhere to go. Ain't gonna be any and you know what? With these ICE agents and shit, they probably gonna confiscate your shit too. And the people that you try to trade with, they're probably gonna rob you. You can't even look at the green. You know, it says. I'm thinking of a precept where it says, even in a green tree. He said something about a green tree. Imagine in a dry tree. So when shit is going good, you can't even sell a pair of sneakers without getting shot on camera. People are going, you know, they'll go to a camera that they know they feel safe. They'll go next to a police station. They'll still get robbed and killed. That's over sneakers. Now you talking gold and silver, man, they might just push your shit back for being that damn stupid. He also criticized trade policies, noting that the Prime Minister of Canada's Mark Carney recently lowered tariffs on Chinese electric vehicles, something Newsom called a betrayal of American manufacturing. That's right. But what is he supposed to do when his economy is going to collapse? Being in the midst of Canada and Greenland, he's screwed. He's trying to help his citizens. His citizens don't even want to live in Canada anymore. They're trying to find ways to get the hell up out of there. So he's trying to lower that burden, but he can't. Okay. Warning of a red alert with white supremacy and corruption. Newsom called for Americans to take back the House and Senate to protect the Republic. So, Civil War. You know. That's what Second Edge, the 15th chapter is going into. Mark goes into that. Let's grab it in the NLT, because it literally says Civil War in Mark 3. And I'll start at 20. One time Yahushua entered a house, and the crowds began to gather again. Soon he and his disciples couldn't even find time to eat. When his family heard what was happening, they tried to take him away. He's out of his mind, they said. But the teachers of religious law who had arrived from Jerusalem said he's possessed by Satan, the prince of demons. That's where he gets the power to cast out demons. Yahushua called them over and responded with an illustration. How can Satan cast out Satan, he asked. A kingdom divided by civil war will collapse. Similarly, a family splintered by feuding will fall apart. And if Satan is divided and fights against himself, how can he stand? He would never survive. Okay. So Satan, in this case, is Esau. Satan casting out Satan is what you see in these ICE agents and protests. Okay, a kingdom divided by civil war will collapse, and that's what Gavin Newsom is saying. He's accusing him of starting a civil war. He also told Gavin Newsom he was going to stop sending federal aid to California. And then he said that he would succeed. And then they said that we're not going to pay your taxes. You know, so once you stop paying taxes, man, he gonna want to he gonna want to go to war with you. What you think this is, man? You think you your own country? Let's see if you can defend yourself then. All right, but there's probably going to be other states and going in the same position, you know, having that same type of mindset. Like, nah, fuck you, we ain't paying you shit. Why are we going to keep paying you so you can turn around and oppress even more? That's where it's coming down to. So there's no point, you know, in the minds of these Edomites. We ain't gonna do shit. You already being the president. If you a so-called Negro, Latino, or Native American, I'm just trying to put it in perspective here. You're fucked. All right. The only chance you got is with the Lord. Outside of that, it's death. That's it. All right. So, what's this? Yep, see? Democrats shrug as Duck threatens sanctuary cities again with February funding cutoff. Okay. This article appeared in Stateline. President Donald Duck's threat this month to stop federal funding to both so-called sanctuary cities in the states where they're located was greeted with disbelief by many states and cities, since the administration has fared poorly on that issue in court. We will go to court within seconds and we will win if he does this. It's already proven unlawful. We've already won multiple times, California Attorney General Rob Bonta told ABC News 7 in San Francisco last week. Those are funds that belong to the people of Chicago, not the president, Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson said in a statement. There were similar reactions in Massachusetts and New York City. So they stopped funding these different places. So they're going to stop funding you federal aid, and you're going to keep paying them taxes too? Do you think that your state's going to be like that? These blue states? They're not. Okay. They're not. And that goes into Isaiah 19 and 2, second address, the 15th chapter, 14 through 16. I'd stopped at 16, but you can just keep going. Pretty much dropped it. But there's a lot of meat in that in those precepts. Second address 15 and 17. A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. So that's going into martial law. You know, you're not going to be able to go into other cities. You're going to need all types of IDs or permission, and it's gonna get worse. For because of their pride, the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. It's going to be some scary times. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. So not only can't you go to the next city, you got to worry about people in the city robbing and stealing from you because there ain't no food and there's no supplies coming in. And you ain't even going to know that the storehouses are already fucked already. They're going to tell you to stay in your house. A man shall have no pity. Behold, saith God, I will call together all the kings of the earth to reverence me. That's pretty much it. That's going into something else. The EU finally used an economic threat against Duck, but the markets forced his climb down. While the threat of retaliatory measures to stop the annexation of Greenland worked, it remains to be seen if Europe has the unity to follow through. And they're not really unified, but maybe they'll get it together sooner than later. The past couple of weeks have seen the most spectacular crisis escalation in the transatlantic relationship over the U.S. threat to annex Greenland, a self-governing territory of Denmark. It risks becoming a major conflict among the members of NATO, the most powerful security alliance in the world history until now. On Wednesday, after a meeting with NATO's Secretary General Mark Rutte, the U.S. President Donald Duck backtracked on his threats to slap tariffs on countries that go in the way of his annexation project, as European leaders huddled together over dinner for a post-crisis debrief in Brussels on 22nd January. They congratulated themselves on their unity and appreciated the intervention of Rutte, or daddy diplomacy. If these really were the conclusions of the latest debacle in transatlantic relations, they are missing the important parts of the story. Anyways, going into the Golden Dome project. This is what? When was this? This is the 22nd. That was 3 days ago. I'm done with that. You know, he started that rhetoric with the tariffs and stuff, and he stopped it. He said he wasn't going to do it, but then, like I saw today in the news, he's going to put 100% tariffs on Canada. But that's pretty much it. That's all I really wanted to get into. I'm going to end it here. Lord's will, this was